Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Performance, where we talk about strategies, growth strategies, entrepreneurship, business, family, and life. Just how to be just a little bit better every single day, that 1% better every single day. Today, we are with Jonathan Bregman. How's it going?
Great. How are you?
I'm
Super happy
doing,
to be here. Thank you.
yeah, I'm doing very, very well. I've been excited to have you on. For our audience, tell us a little bit about yourself. What makes you tick?
Cool. So, again, thank you for the opportunity. So, my name is Jonathan Bregman. I'm the CEO of Yess.ai. We're a company that helps SDR and sales team leverage the broader team and helps them send messages to any person within their company to boost reply rates and multi thread more effectively. Prior to leading Yes, we're a seed stage startup. Prior to leading Yes, I was 6 years at AWS. At my last position, I led a $150 million business unit in AWS, was promoted there multiple times. Prior to that, AE, prior to that, SDR. So what ticks me the most is sales. I just love sales. And as a founder, leading a seed stage startups, it's all about sales now.
Yeah, sales is the key to the lifeblood of a business.
Yeah.
Without sales, you're not going to go anywhere. I have a phrase that I usually say: sales covers mistakes as well. You can make a lot of mistakes as a founder if you have sales. If you don't have
Totally.
sales, mistakes tend to shine.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, one of the interesting things about this, and I totally agree, is that many times people put sales sometimes on the youngest or the most inexperienced asset they have on the team. So the youngest SDR will be your frontline person representing your company in front of people, or your youngest AE will represent, and that's what you mentioned just now, that sales is the life. So for me, it's such an important thing. So passionate about it, and happy to speak
yeah,
about it as well.
now you left a really good senior position at AWS to found your company. Why? What was some of the insights that you learned that you're like, this is missing? I have to do this. Why did you like, a lot of us entrepreneurs, we're like, oh, we're gonna go build something, but most of us don't have like, I mean, I don't know if it was a cushy job, but most of us don't have, you know, the greatest, or we see a need. What was it for you?
So frankly, throughout my career, I noticed that the I the part that I enjoy most about business is the 0 to 1, and not the 1 to 100. Really think about creative ways how to build a new business unit was always part of my passion, and I can only say amazing things about AWS. Really, I believe that among the big corporations, probably the most startup oriented in mind. And I also joined AWS in a very, very interesting time where they were all about experiments. I founded the first team globally that was focused on cloud to cloud migrations. I just wrote a 6 page narrative, and I said, hey, we're starting to lose some big startups to our competition. And I was just granted the opportunity to open a team that was focused on that and scaled that from 0 to $25 million a year. And so that really gave me drive, and I really noticed how I like this entrepreneur thing. Even within a big corporate, I was throughout my whole career. And frankly, one of the most interesting things was that the last promotion I had was only 6 months before I left. I was promoted to be the youngest level 7 in AWS globally. But my desire to really build something on my own was the basis of leaving. By the way, I didn't leave alone. I left with 3 other AWS colleagues. So that was giving me like some kind of comfort that I'm leaving with people that also believe in the vision so much that we're doing it together. And
Yeah,
frankly, we're solving a business problem that we noticed that AWS didn't solve. So in a
yeah,
nutshell, we noticed that for technical buyers, the reply rates that SDRs get is extremely, extremely low. And when they leverage other people, more senior, more technical, reply rates jump.
Yeah.
And all of the tech sales stack today is focused on a single person approaching a different person. So think AWS is like such a large organization. There are so many people working for AWS, and we're approaching big customers. And the route from the young SDR to that technical decision maker isn't necessarily the best route. And that's something I figured out in AWS. And I said, hey, if AWS didn't even figure this out, this could be a very big company.
Yeah. Yeah. And how, like, in leaving and building, what was it like to get that first customer? Walk us through that.
Yeah.
Because that's like that first customer, I wouldn't even say your first customer, your 10th customer. 'Cause I think one customer, you're like, I know I can get one. It's going to be this person. They'll give you a check no matter what. They'll do it. But your 10th customer, that's the hard one. And beyond
Yeah.
that, what's it been like to get customers?
So one of the things that I really focus on right now is be extremely vocal on LinkedIn. And frankly, most of our customers came through interacting with my posts, with what I write, with my vision. And it wasn't that difficult, but and I highly recommend every founder to be visible because A, it earns trust,
Yeah.
and B, it just puts you top of mind for many, many people. Um, so the how it's like, it's mainly what I call warm outbound, that people are interacting with my posts, they're following me, they're commenting on my post. We start a relationship. It's not like completely cold. I'm introducing myself. They kind of know who I am, they kind of know what I'm doing. And then it's just very streamlined to, if they want to see the solution themselves, they never heard about such a solution.
Yeah.
So I think we're actually now at this stage where we really start to see this repeatable process,
Hmm.
that it's from the 10th to the 20th and so forth. So it's kind of fun at the company right now.
Yeah. What's been the biggest challenge that you've faced that you kind of didn't expect?
The biggest challenge is always hiring, I guess, especially for an early stage startup. So you know, I led big teams at AWS, and it's also very important to hire the right people. But it's just
Yeah.
a different type of people. Not saying that a certain criteria is better than the other, but the people that you want at the very early stages of the startup are not necessarily the people that you want in a big corporation. And to find that founder mentality, even in people that are not founders, that's extremely, extremely difficult. What I am very fortunate to have are also very, very strong founders with me that I know that, and I'm working with them for years. And we
Yeah.
hired really a top talent team that we're trying to build like a very, very broad platform, but also deep at the same time. So we took upon ourselves to take a very big technology step with a relatively small team. So hiring,
Yeah.
I guess it's the number one thing, because sales again, it's my background, and the idea resonates with people. I obviously we're still early. We will get to that hurdle of crossing the chasm of growing exponentially also afterwards. But now it's mainly about hiring.
Yeah. Now, shifting a little bit of focus here and how's this impacted your family?
That's a great question. So I'm happily married with two young kids.
Yeah.
So my eldest, when we're recording this, she's 4 years old, and the younger one is 2 years old. And I left to found the company when he was 1 years old. And my wife, she's extremely career focused as well. She's working also in sales at MongoDB. Um, So we're both we kind of laughed that we're like a pipeline oriented, sales oriented household.
Yep.
We're talking about what's going on with each other's pipeline, and
That's what
frankly,
family dinner looks like. So
yeah, totally.
how's your
It's
sales
kind of boring. So
pipeline?
people, yeah,
You know, we need to optimize this. How's sales with Frank and Debbie going?
yeah, and listen, I think it has a lot of advantages to that extent that she really understands what I'm going through. Again, to be in sales in a corporate isn't necessarily the same thing as being a founder in a startup, obviously, but she gets the highs and lows. And one thing that we're always laughing about is how she supports me with these very very high highs, and obviously there are lows.
Yeah,
And it's just a household that I understand what she's going through, and she understands what I'm going through, and it's kind of funny. It's always the opposite somehow. So when I'm like
yeah,
really really down, she had like the best week, closed a great customer, so that's
yeah,
also fun.
yeah.
And for us, it just works. I don't know. We have also like a very interesting slash weird slash unique kind of story. How we met, our whole life story. So our bonds go, our roots are deep, and it's not too different than our days that she worked in MongoDB and I worked in AWS.
Yeah. Now, on that, is she a customer?
MongoDB
That's the
will be
biggest no.
a Actually, it's funny, but I I'm not using her as internal guidance for MongoDB. It's like on that part we're excluding ourselves.
Yeah. All
Not to
right.
not
All
to.
right. All right. There's a little bit of work that needs to be done there. Um, how have you involved your family along the way in your entrepreneurial process? Like you got a 4-year old. Do they they're coding? I know I also have a 4-year old and a 2-year old. I have an 8, 4, and a 2-year old right now. I'm making my 4-year old and my 2-year old code. So I'm just joking. They do not code at all.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Yeah. It's funny because my kids like natural languages, their mother tongue languages is Hebrew and Spanish. And in the last 2 years, I just really heavily invested in that she will, like the eldest one, will start to learn English since she was 2 years old, and that's
yeah,
my pet project. And actually, it's amazing to see how like a 4-year old kid could speak three languages, just amazing. And they're a sponge at that age, and
yeah,
she has also like classes and everything in the iPad. Every Netflix show, it's in English, which is her third language,
yeah,
which is cool. So,
yeah,
by the way, for me, I believe that coding will definitely be obsolete when our 4-year olds
yeah,
will be in their 20s. The language of coding will be English.
yeah.
So people that's their mother language are blessed, and people that are not just will need to learn it.
I mean,
Like what's going on today with
I think the generation that's growing up right now is growing up online and they're growing up in a chat world. And chat seems to be, for the most part, an English dominated
yeah,
world.
totally,
So
and I
I have
think that
friends that
you're
speak perfect English, and all of them, where did you learn? Ah, I learned in World of Warcraft, or I learned in this or that, or and I think it's just evolving into other things. And with AI, I mean, are we even going to have to learn English or learn these different things in the future? Is it just going to automatically translate it? I mean, I've used so many apps where I'm like in it and it's translating live on the fly in the other person's ear, and it's crazy.
totally. And now I'm not a developer. I became a bit technical, but I'm not a developer.
Yeah.
And you have these new frameworks and new companies like Cursor. It's you could code with natural language. You could just write what you want, even in ChatGPT, although it will give you errors. But definitely in a few years,
Yeah.
I believe that it's going like to code. You just, I think that the concepts you will need to learn, but the hard work. I also see our developers like a year a year backwards. It, the way they interacted with AI isn't the way they're interacting today. Like the level, you just can really get 20, 30, 40% performance uptick from those large language models that you could just write in simple English what you need, and it gives you like a good foundation. Again, you need the developers totally, but when you're looking 20 years into the future, it might look different.
Yeah. Now, I want you to put on the AI lens, since you do a lot in the AI space. Where are we right now, and where are we going in the next year and then 5 years?
So the we actually had a discussion about this in the office this week, and kind of like our when we look at AI for the next year, I think AI the best use cases for AI are things that humans also do, but could do well on a one-off or a two-off basis. But the advantage for AI is that they can take that task and they don't care if it's 2 times, 1,000 times, or 1 million times. And their AI is highly applicable. So, if, for example, you can semantically understand something from data, and as a human, it's kind of simple for you to do it, but you cannot just now read 500 pages to semantically understand something. AI can really do that because what it's good at, it's really understanding something, and it could do it at scale. What it cannot do today, and by the way, we did that mistake in the beginning in the startup that we thought that it might, but it's just not there yet today, and probably not for the next year. Things that
Yeah.
humans can't do, it won't do, and it will do worse than a human. So we tried like, okay, a human can't do this, so let's give it to a large language model to solve, and that didn't lead us anywhere. Where I hope it will go. So I'll give you an example. The example is if you want to see who is the best person from your company to approach someone in a different company. It's a big data problem because there are so many potential connections. Things that you work for a company with 200 employees, the other company is 200 employees as well. There are 40,000 possible connections. What
Yeah.
we hoped is that it will just miraculously understand everything and know who are the most connected people possible.
Yeah.
And it doesn't do a good job at that because even a human cannot really know. There's so many like factors
Yeah.
to look at that. Where it can be well is on a one-to-one basis that they know like okay, this person is connected to that person, but then you could
Yeah.
just scale that through many people. That's a very good use case. I think it just automates things that humans, it will take them a lot of time to do.
Yeah.
um, but maybe and hopefully it will get to the point that it can solve challenges that humans can't, and that will be a big breakthrough because currently it's not there.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the future of AI is interesting, and it's hard to predict where AI is going to go in 5 years because it really depends what our goals are. I think and our goals are constantly changing, so we're building AI to go after specific, goals. For example, when ChatGPT came out, it was very text basis. and it was, hey, write me a blog post about this or write me this. And they're realizing, oh, people want this, and they're paying attention to searches and what people are searching for and where it's good, where it's bad, paying attention to where the overall human brain is wanting it to go, and they'll start
Yeah.
programming after that. So I think it's anybody who's like, here's where it's going to be in 5 years. I think it's a big gamble, and it's a big like question mark, because it's going to change. I can say in 20 years, you are right. Programming languages probably will be obsolete. That being said, understanding programming languages to
Yeah,
have it
totally, totally,
program
totally.
it,
The
and
concepts
understanding
are,
where it faults and where it doesn't fault, and then being able to reprogram that and tell it in a sophisticated manner, that will always be needed.
yeah.
And it will get better and better and better at not doing that, but it's going to evolve and evolve and evolve and evolve. um, how have
By the way,
you
the biggest,
evolved?
the
Yeah.
biggest business opportunity for entrepreneurs that I see today, and I would have been throwing money at this, and I didn't encounter to the day that we're recording this podcast any service provider, is SEO optimization for ChatGPT. Because I started to notice that I'm searching things in free text. Compare me X and Y. Compare me software X and Y. What is the best software to solve problem X? And I did that always in Google, and I did that
Yeah.
always in forums. And I have no idea who controls, like, what's going on there in the back end. And I just don't want to share the two vendors, but I'm just looking now at a business problem that we're trying to solve. And I just asked ChatGPT, what do you think like about this? And it was direct. It gave me like a one. It gave me one answer, and also the list of vendors. It was kind of like very particular, and
Yeah.
I just am super curious how this optimization, because people will start going to ChatGPT and the likes to get information that they used to get in Google. And I'm just
Yeah.
saying, if you are
And that they
listening,
spend millions of dollars on as well.
yeah, and that's going to be disrupted completely, because I'm just like, I'm thinking about myself, like things that I the nice, the interesting thing about Google search is that you started to tame yourself how to ask questions in Google in the way that isn't free. It's not like free speech. Like you know how to write it. It's completing
Yeah.
everything. It's like you start to text things in Google in a very peculiar way, but in ChatGPT you're like, just okay, I'm just going to throw it. I know it will answer something okay. And
Yeah.
I wonder, like, I guess it will be a big industry. And frankly, if you're listening to this and you have such a consultancy, reach out to me on LinkedIn. Happy to chat, because if my company's name, Yess.ai, will appear in a result when someone is asking something about new ways to do outbound and multi-threading, I guess they will be contacting me very, very shortly.
Yeah. I think it's SEO in this space is interesting because people were asking questions in very different ways. Google trained us to ask it in
Yeah.
specific ways. I think right now everybody's asking ChatGPT, but the true professionals know how to ask it and know how to build queries in the best way possible to ask it the best decisions to get the best output. And I think we will be trained in the future. I think the wild west of SEO in ChatGPT is here, and
Yeah.
there are people, including myself, who are pretty wicked awesome at it. And I know how it works. I know what things to do. I know how
You
to
know how to influence the
develop.
answer.
Oh yeah, for sure. There's a lot of ways to influence answers through
So
ChatGPT.
we'll take it offline.
You can ask it even this and build queries to specifically back out to its algorithm to understand what things to ask and how to do it and where to build links and what to do. This world's still a link-based thing, and they're still accounting for all these things, but they're taking. I mean, even their algorithm. A lot of their algorithm was leaked and has a lot to do with Reddit. And you mix Reddit, I think they're adding in Quora, I think they're adding in a few other things. You can learn to manipulate those different things. You can do that. It's kind of the Wild West. And I think there were a lot of people who made a lot of money manipulating results in the early days. And I think they're doing it right now. And I think that will get better and better and better. And Google search is a place right now, which is a very good, and I think for the most part, accurate about what your queries are. Now, some could say it's very manipulated, it's very this, you hire, you spend a lot of money and you can get there. Yes. But
Yeah,
you are
but you know what's the
manipulating
difference?
results.
The difference is that I can see the return on investment on a Google SEO project, even if it's a
For
negative.
sure.
And
For sure.
ChatGPT, it's just much more fluff. Like, okay,
It's
there's no
it's
link.
building content specifically for that.
Yeah,
So you have to know
but it will be
what to
hard for
ask
you to
it and how to do
attribute.
it.
Yeah, it will be hard for you to attribute. Okay, like the two vendors that I was searching, they had they unless it's magic like we spoke before that AI can't do yet. They like the chance that they will know that I came from that I chose the vendor because of that is only if they
Yeah.
will proactively ask me.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, that's going to be a lot of the future and a lot of
Yeah,
adapting. I mean, even SEO, it's how a lot of people, I mean, the best metric for on your website finding out is to ask them, in that process, how did you hear about us?
yeah.
That's still the number one way people get their information. I know we're kind of coming up on time right now. What has been the most pivotal moment in your life that has impacted you in your sales career? What's your number one piece of advice? Kind of that pivotal moment. What is that piece of advice you give to listeners?
The most pivotal moment was the moment that I understood from my family background that I need to succeed, and I need to succeed by myself. And the moment that you just treat yourself as the CEO of yourself, you're not asking for favors. You just build everything by yourself, and you just get that determination of I'm going to win no matter what. And if I will fail at this, I will do that. And if this won't happen, but I have the tenacity just to learn, to be curious, take ownership. And I think that the people that have that capability of life is hard. It's not only about roses and flowers, and there are obstacles. And it's all about your perception. How will you tackle these challenges? And for me, everything is like about, okay, there is this obstacle and I will overcome it. And I just recall a very particular moment where I just decided that I will be as successful as possible. I won't look back at things that I could feel bad about myself. And that particular thing really taught me. And my career trajectory just exploded from there. And it was just like this fun momentum from there. If you're an owner, if you're curious, we still live in a place in a world. There are opportunities. Just take ownership on yourself, work hard, be
Yeah.
curious, and it's going to be fine. There's
Love.
always room. And I'll give you like a small example of how people just get things wrong. There are people that study for high school exams for 10 days or a week or whatever, and then they come to and they went and they studied for so long to get into university, and in university to get a job interview, to get a job. And then after they get the job interview, they don't prepare at all. And those are like the things that I'm, at least an entrepreneur, when I'm interviewing people, those are the things that I'm looking for.
Yeah.
Because people that understand that you need to do the effort. Like, you studied 10 days for that exam in 10th grade, but you didn't study one day what
Yeah.
we're doing. Like what you did all those things to get the job. Here you're 1 second before getting the job, and you
Yeah,
just came to the interview and you have zero idea who am I, what we're doing, and
correct.
the bar is really low. The bar, like it's not difficult to impress. That's
Yeah,
like the most simple way to be prepared. I'm
yeah,
hiring some salespeople, and they're applying through the career page. That's
yeah,
ridiculous. You're a
yeah,
salesperson. Approach me like that. That's the first quiz. That's the first test. Call me.
yeah,
Call me. Send me
yeah,
a message. Send me a LinkedIn. Why do you send your like
yeah,
people just sometimes we weren't taught these things at school, and people just don't get it.
yeah. What's your biggest struggle right now, and how can we help?
Um, Biggest struggle in the company or personally?
Whatever.
No,
Open-ended.
personally, yeah. Personally, I'm actually doing. It's funny to be an entrepreneur, to be a CEO. It's again about those highs and lows. I'm just trying to
Yeah,
navigate that in a more in the best stable way I can. Um, how can you support? I'll be happy if people just approach me on LinkedIn. I'm super out there. It's Jonathan Bregman. I work at Yess.ai. Feel free to add me, and we could definitely talk after the show. I'm always open to create relationships. I believe in the long term, and some
I love it.
relationships from online just evolve to be like relationships also offline. So I'll
Yeah,
be if someone connected with what I said, I'll be happy to be connected in LinkedIn.
I love it. Well, thank you very much for being with us here on this episode of Performance. Appreciate your time and energy, space, everything, and keep going. I love it. I want to see. I want to see where this goes. I'm excited for the future of AI, and yes, as well.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.